All right, guys. As always, I need you to get on and tell me if you can see me. Somebody get in the comments and tell me if you can see me. We're going to try some experimenting tonight, folks. And it's going to be crazy. Somebody get on and tell me if you can see me.
Tell me if you can see me.
Oh, there I am. All right. Very good. Hey, tonight I'm going to be experimenting with some new software, and you guys are going to be my guinea pigs. So, wow, I got the chat right here. Look at that. Look at that thing go. Anyways, I'm here in the sanctuary, as you can tell, and we're going to do the topics and stuff that I had lined up for tonight, but I got a special treat for you. Tonight I'm using some new software that I am experimenting on to possibly use on Sunday morning because it's going to allow us to do some different things for worship services. This week I've been fielding a lot of complaints from people. There's a lot of unhappy people, and one of the complaints I got is people with the live streams want to be able to see more of what's going on. And so I figure if I got a complaint, I could possibly, make work. At least I could fix something. So what this would do is allow us to, would allow us to show, what's on the screen and possibly someday maybe a second camera and do some different things. And you're going to see how, the good Lord willing, you're going to see how that's going to work here shortly. So the echo that you heard was the fact that I'm also watching the stream on my phone, and I had to turn the volume off or else we'll start hearing infinity, and that will drive everybody crazy. So, oh, fantastic. I apparently only have 48 minutes of battery life left on the camera. Well, that's real good. So, okay, we're going to make it go with this, though. All right, everybody. I'm glad to see you all here tonight. Let's see. Do I need to do some shout-outs? I got a few people in the comments here. Hi, Joe and Marcia. Glad you guys are joining us tonight. I know you guys have had some conflicts on Wednesday nights, so glad that you're here. Hey, Daryl, good to see you. Thanks for always texting me back. I appreciate that, buddy. Hi, Amy. Good to see you now that you're 1 week removed from your birthday. Dave and Amy are here. Good to see you guys. Bob and Pam, how you guys doing? Tina and Mike, miss seeing you guys. Hopefully I miss seeing everybody. So, hey, Suze. Matt Clement's in the house. Beth Reedy, good to see you. Cheryl and Jack, good to see you guys back. I know you guys were traveling, just got back from Michigan. Good to see you. And let's see who else we got here. Matt, hear you and yeah, echoes. Yeah, hopefully the echoes are gone now. I turned my phone down. All right, good evening, everyone. Hi, Crystal. Hey, Margie and Doug, and great to see the stream. Well, I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. We're going to experiment with that tonight. So we're gonna see how this works and see if I can either make it work or melt the computer. We'll see which one happens first. All right. So here's how we're going to start off on this, and you're going to have to tell me because I can't hear it if the volume's okay or if I'm shouting at you or whatever. Let me know. Let me know what's happening with that. So. All right, cool. And all right, we're going to go out of order a little bit tonight because I want to do a thing on the 1619 project we talked about. I don't know. Jump in the comments right now. Tell me if you've ever heard of the 1619 project or know anything about it. But it's something that's kind of making the rounds. I'm not really going to comment whether it's good or bad. I'm going to let you make up your own mind on that. But I do want to have a conversation about, what it is. So if you hear about it, see it on the news or whatever, you'll be able to do that. Hey, Phil. Yeah, I heard it beep. I'm not sure where it's at. I'm talking to Phil, everybody. Phil's looking for his phone. Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah. So that's what I want to start with tonight. And I got some stuff we're going to pull up about that and take a look at it. Then we're going to do the Bible study, I promised, on Ephesians 6. And then I've got I called it selfish politics because I don't know what else to call it. And we're going to take a look at some people who are, poisoning the well, I think, for some other folks. And I want to take a look at that tonight, too. So, all right. So we're going to start now with the 1619 project. Okay, y'all ready for this? Just so y'all know, I don't want you to take my word for anything I'm about to tell you. I'm going to be pretty straightforward with this first segment, and I'm going to read directly from their website. All right? And not only am I going to read it, I'm going to show it to you. Are you ready? Check this out. Bam. Okay. So here's what we got, and I'm hoping you're looking at a screen big enough that you can read this, okay? Now, the 1619 Project was started by, I forgot the lady's name now. D'Angelo was her last name, and she works for the, Nicole Hannah-Jones was the first one who was working on this, and some of the D'Angelo people and a few others have been working on it. Ooh, scroll back here. And what this is it's a way of looking at history, because a lot of things that we do in our lives is going to be greatly affected depending on how we consider them. And obviously, American history is going to be one of those things. And the 1619 Project is a project by the New York Times, started by Nicole Hannah-Jones, and some of the work that she's done there. And it's kind of an ongoing thing, and it's looking to possibly be incorporated into school curriculums and things like that. So I just want you guys to have a little idea what this is. Now, before I do this, everybody sees like a couple things on the screen now, right? You see my face, and you see a website, and you see the Wayne Street logo. I need somebody to tell me that you're seeing that, because nobody responded. I clicked the button, and it should have done it, but I don't know if it did. So somebody get in the comments, tell me if that worked, or did I crash the system? Am I talking to nobody? Okay, it worked. Cool. All right. So, reading directly from the website. Ready? In August of 1619, a ship appeared on the horizon near Port Comfort, a postal port in the English colony of Virginia. Carried more than 20 enslaved Africans who were sold to the colonists. No aspect of the country that would be formed here has been untouched by the years of slavery that followed. On the 400th anniversary of this fateful moment, it is finally time to tell our story truthfully. And so, this part here is probably too small for you to read. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. Oh, I made it way too big. Hold on, I'm still getting used to this. All right, here we go. The 1619 Project is an ongoing initiative from the New York Times Magazine that began in August of 2019, the 400th anniversary of the beginning of American slavery. It aims to reframe the country's history by placing the consequences of slavery and the contribution of black Americans at the very center of our national narrative. And then there's a link there to read more about the 1619 Project. So what the claim is and what their perspective is they're trying to help all of us, honestly, see the great impact that slavery had on our country, which I don't know that anybody was denying that. But instead of making things like the Declaration of Independence or the Revolutionary War or the election of George Washington or any of those things be a part of the founding of our country, they're going back to say, actually, the pivotal moment in the formation of America was actually the importation of African slaves. I guess my only comment to that would be is, depending on one perspective to the other, that would make a significant difference in how we view our country. If we're going to look at a terrible evil, which, again, I'm perfectly happy to say, it was a terribly evil and awful thing that happened. But to make that be the foundation upon which our country was built is going to put a far different spin on the United States than to talk about, the entrepreneurship and the idea of freedom and the importance of being able to, build the country that we know today. Certainly, the black mark of slavery is certainly upon our country. It was a terrible time. It was an awful, evil, horrible thing that was done. And we fought a war in the 1860s on that very premise to say that we aren't going to have this anymore. And that's why we ended up where we ended up today, and because of that, the Civil War, where lots of people were killed in order to make a statement that the United States will no longer have slavery. And thank God for that. Today we don't. So here are some of the premises of this ideal. Our democracy founding ideals were false when they were written. Black Americans have fought to make them true. I'm assuming founding ideals like all men created equal and those kinds of things, they weren't true for everyone at the founding of our nation, and that's an accurate statement. I can't dispute that. It wasn't true for everyone, but it was a hope. It was an ideal. It was something that we set before us, and the founders put us together in such a way that 100 years later we were able to fight a war and rid ourselves of the plague of slavery. And but that's that's what this movement wants to. The 1619 Projects wants to kind of put that back in focus for us. If you want to understand the brutality of American capitalism, you have to start on the plantation. And that's another one of the essays that's a part of this. I will admit that capitalism can be a brutal system, no question about it. I don't know, though, that that's the only thing it does. Capitalism also, has provided great wealth, pulled more people out of poverty in the history of our world than anything else. So, again, I'm not trying to gloss over some of our warts as a country, but to throw it all out, to burn it all down and start over. I'm just not sure that needs to happen, because it seems to me like we're losing a lot in the process of the danger that we're running into. So that's a difficult thing. Okay. I don't know. Is that big enough for you guys to see? I can't tell here. Today, most sites of this trades are forgotten. Some of the torn down statues. Scroll on here. Myths about physical racial differences were used to justify slavery and are still believed by doctors today. Again, I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't comment on that. Oops, sorry, hang on. But that's what they're saying is the way we practice medicine today has a racial tinge to it. And doctors still believe it today, and apparently it's false. America holds to the undemocratic assumption from its founding that some people deserve more power than others. Yeah, I guess we do that. Certainly there are some inequities in our world today. I mean, there's no question to that. The problem I see is that just because the system creates inequalities and it creates some who have more than others, I don't know that means that the system is evil. I think that a lot of people who struggle or are having a hard time, and then there are plenty who do, to say that that's only because the system was set up that way kind of defeats the purpose of the idea of work hard, work smart, go get them. You could be anything you want to be. This, to me, sounds a lot like a victim mentality, and I don't know that that's what we want to be telling our kids, is that the whole system is rigged against you, because I don't know that it is. And it bothers me that, we may be looking at curriculum and doing things like that would encourage people to see it that way, and I'm not sure I agree with that. For centuries, black music has been the sound of artistic freedom. No wonder everybody's always stealing it. I'm not a music person, so I have no idea on that one. There you can see that one, the poem written by this person about the slave trade. What does a traffic jam in Atlanta have to do with segregation? Quite a lot. Apparently now traffic jams are a part of systemic racism and things like that. I mean, I guess I haven't read the article, so I don't know, but it just seems like that's a stretch. Why doesn't the United States have universal health care? The answer begins with the politics enacted after the Civil War. I'm pretty sure that we don't have universal health care because that's, it's universal health care, contrary to popular belief, is not free. Somebody has to pay for it. And freedom doesn't mean that you're free to take money from one person and give it to yourself. That's not how this works. So I don't know that we can pin that on that system. Slavery gave America a fear of black people and a taste for violent punishments. Both still define our prison system. I don't know, to draw an equality between what slavery was in the 17th and 18th century to what our modern day prison system is. That's a link I don't see because the Africans who were enslaved didn't break any laws, didn't have any problems. It's not like we brought the criminals over here. So I don't know that those poor people who had slavery forced upon them, I don't know how to say it, I don't know that we could possibly equate them with the idea of the modern prison system where there's trials and lawyers and different things like that. So I think this is a stretch. And the other problem is it was 150 years ago. Why that is still have this much effect today. Japanese Americans in this country during World War II were put into concentration camps as well, and I don't know that anybody's advocating that they're not doing well in our country today. And that was within a generation that's alive right now. So the sugar that saturates the American diet has a barbaric history as the white gold that fueled slavery. That's some pretty good looking candy bars on that list there. Again, the part of this that I struggle with, and that this becoming a movement, and the reason I'm not really in favor of this being taught in the classrooms, is because every single one of these that I've read, and I've read you a number of the titles of the articles, are about victim mentality. Here's why this thing that happened, 5 generations ago, still is defining who we are today. Now, are we still affected by what happened 150 years ago? Of course. But at some point in our American system, don't we have to take on the responsibility to do for ourselves? A lot of people have done really well under the American system, and I think to throw out capitalism and try to it just scares me where that's going. Some of the attitudes I see among our young people, even when I was in college, and look, I was in college like 20-some years ago. I was even seeing the beginnings of it then, about how America is completely evil and there's nothing good about us. I struggle with that because, we're not perfect. Unfortunately, we have human beings here, and whenever you put people involved, perfection needs to not be an expectation because we people aren't perfect. But I think to allow this horrible evil that's certainly a part of who we are, but I don't know that it's the foundation of who we are. But to teach the generation that's coming up that it is a foundational experience, it is something that was, to this day still determines a lot of what happens, that's a very defeating message. And I don't know that I would want kids to be taught that way. I want them to learn about George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. Yeah, they were bad people. They did bad things. I'll give you that. They owned slaves and they did terrible things. I don't deny that. But I think to reduce them to that, I know I certainly, in the mistakes I've made in my life, I hope someday if somebody's ever talking about Tim Benjamin, they'll actually say some good stuff. Maybe there's nothing good to say. I don't know. But I think with George Washington and some of these other guys, there certainly are some good things to say, and there have been good things to say about other men down through history. People like Abe Lincoln, of course, who finally championed the cause to go to war to break this thing called slavery. And I struggle with trying to help kids see themselves as victims, because I think our world today, we like to be victims. We like to feel like victims. We like to be able to present ourselves as victims. And I'm not sure that that's a good way to go. Are we sometimes victimized by things? Yes, but that doesn't give us a badge that we can go around and do things. It doesn't absolve us from the responsibility of the bad things we do. It doesn't mean that the world now owes us, well, really anything, because something has happened. People have been overcoming adversity since literally the dawn of time. And, to take a whole generation and say, you're where you are because somebody put you there, that's not good. Yeah, Tim. There's no president that we couldn't find something bad about. There's no human being we couldn't find something bad about. And unfortunately, since we are not able to elect Jesus as our president, we're going to have to settle for imperfect people. And, we got 2 of them running for president right now, 2 very imperfect people. And I don't want us to, sell out what we've done. Yes, we do have an obligation to be better than we were. Okay, I, again, could not possibly agree with that more. It's called growth. And in the past, 250, 275 years, whatever it's been, we have grown a lot. And we certainly have grown a lot in the 400 years since 1619. But if you look at the whole world is a very different place now than it was 400 years ago. Does that excuse what they did? No. But I'm not sure using our modern sensibilities to judge what people in the past were doing, I don't know that that's fair. Because, I look at myself where I was just back in the 80s. I did some dumb stuff in the 80s. I was also in junior high. And if you don't do dumb stuff in junior high, you're not doing it right, certainly. And so I just struggle with, judging anything by its worst parts. I'm talking about me. There are people who like to judge Pastor Tim by his worst parts, and he's got plenty of them that get pointing out to me quite often. But, America is always growing. That's true. World is different because what we did to slavery. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Matt, but we could very well the slavery could still exist today. Slavery does still exist today. Let's not kid ourselves. But it's illegal in this country, and if we catch you doing it, you're going to jail or worse. And that obviously wasn't the case back in 175 years ago. So Tim Dickey, I couldn't agree with that more. During the time of Washington and Jefferson, slavery was legal. 200 years from now, abortion may be seen as something evil from the past, and Obama and Clinton would be vilified because that's exactly right. Because the prevailing thought on that topic could change from what it is today. And actually, I'd be real surprised if that didn't happen. And that's an excellent point. So, all right. This was I just meant this to be a little overview because I've heard the 1619 project thrown around a little bit. Honestly, I wanted an excuse to go read up on it. So I was reading up on it yesterday, and I wanted just a chance to present it to you. It just gave me an excuse to go learn about something. And I was less than pleased with what I found. I'm just going to be honest with you. I was hoping it would be something better than that, but it wasn't. So please don't judge me by my worst parts. And I'd really like it if you didn't judge the country I live in by its worst parts either. So, all right, friends, are we ready to move on? Anybody else got any other questions or anything you want to say about this? While I get a drink. Anybody ready to move on? I've got I'm starting to get a little concerned about the battery. If the battery in my camera dies, I had it on the charger, and for some reason it says I only have 32 minutes. What time is it? Oh, we're going to have to squeak this out. Hoping it holds out the whole time. What happened to forgive and forget? I don't know. We don't show grace to each other anymore, Bob. And again, a 400-year screw up is a big thing to put behind a person. But that's, if you don't put it behind you, that bitterness could, do some damage to you in your life. So, Val says, listen, well, driving to get Lorelei. Well, good. I don't know where Lorelei's at. Hope all is well there. We're not to judge others. Only God is to judge. Yeah. Oh, no, man. I'm not advocating forgetting at all because I think forgetting would be the worst thing we could do because, yes, we need to remember that because we don't ever want to make a mistake like that again. Nobody does. But I'm not sure that we're solving one problem by creating another one, by teaching people they're victims. Everybody's a victim of something. If you want to be a victim, it's not hard to figure out how you are. And I'm just not sure that's healthy. So, okay. All right. I screwed up and minimized something here. Now I lost. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. All right, let's move on to the Bible study for tonight. I want to take a look at Ephesians chapter 6, and because I wanted to look at the armor of God. Interestingly enough, any of you who may have been a part of the children's ministry tonight, Jess was working on the same scripture with the kids, and she and I came to that independently because we were talking about it yesterday, and it turns out what I had planned for the night was the same thing she had planned for the night. We came to it separately, which was kind of funny. So here's a little closer idea what it may look like when we do the PowerPoint on Sunday. At least I would hope so. Let me switch over here. I can't go full screen. As you can tell, this is just the generic PowerPoint software for those of you who recognize it. I can't go full screen because when I go full screen, it blanks out this screen and I can't see what I'm doing. So we have to do some finagling on that. But here it is. We're going to be looking at Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 to 17. And this is the full armor of God. Jump in the comments right now. Tell me, have you ever heard of the armor of God? Is this something you've ever heard of or done anything with? This thing bothers my head. Is that full armor of God? Anything you've ever heard of? Anybody ever heard of it before? Ephesians 6. Anybody ever heard of the full armor of God before? All right, Dave's heard of it. Good. All right, Crystal's heard of it. Sherry puts it on every morning. Good. That's good. Amy's never heard of it, so I'm going to get to teach her something tonight. Of the parts of the armor of God that we're going to talk about tonight, I want to talk about them in terms of what they do and how they work. Marcia puts it on too. Good. Val was doing a Bible study. Excellent. Okay. All right, Val. Well, we'll count on you for some extra insight then tonight. So, all right. Very good. Let me start reading here. Verse 10 says, a final word. Now, obviously, final word because this is kind of his closing thought to the epistle to the Ephesians. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Is that a choice? Jump in the comments and tell me if that's a choice. To be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Is that a choice that we make? Is that a choice that's within the realm of possibility of things that we can do? That we can be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power? Is that an option that we can exercise? I think all too often, again, going back to the victim mentality, we think that we have been deprived of that, or that's not an option for us. And I think that's wrong. I think this is absolutely within the realm of possibility for us. However, I also wouldn't go so far as to say it's something that automatically happens. That it's just something that we are. I do not agree with that. I think we can choose to leave the armor on the floor if we want to. I certainly wouldn't recommend that, but it's something we can do. And just decide that we're just going to be a victim and not worry about it. I'm not sure that's a good way to go. So, for those of you here in the chat, and how many people we got here tonight? Hang on, I got to click over. How many people are in the chat tonight? Oh, look, you can see me twice. How many are here? 24. 24 of you here tonight. And, all right. So we're deciding we're going to make a choice. Those who make a choice, here's what we got to do. We got to put on all of God's armor so that you'll be able to stand firm against all the strategies of the devil. All the strategies. There's a lot of strategies the devil uses against us. Again, this is not news to any of you in the chat here tonight. There's a lot of them in there, but we put on God's armor so that we're ready to address them. And here's the thing you got to keep in mind. It may take a lot of forms. The devil can get creative with it. It might be something that he can make look a lot of different ways or do a lot of different things with. But he really only got one thing that he does, and that is he lies to us. That's it. That's the only power he has. He can make you believe something that's not true. He can make you do something you disagree with. He can lead you astray. He can get you to follow pixie dust in the wrong direction in your life. That's it, though. He has no power to come against you aggressively. He can only tell you lies and try to mislead you. And do you need reference to that? Go back to read the opening chapters of Genesis. This is exactly what he did to Adam and Eve. And he has literally been doing it ever since. Telling lies, leading astray, pulling people from one direction to another. It's a game you don't want to play. So, hang on here 1 second. All right. So, we want to... are you serious right now? So that's what he's going to do. He's going to tell you lies and try to get you out of where you want to be. Because God has a place you want to be, and you want to be there. And then Satan's like, what can I try to get my good friend here to buy into that would throw them off? What could it possibly be? And again, he'll run the gambit down as far as he can to try to figure out something to get you away from where he doesn't want you to be, which is exactly where you do want to be. So he put on the armor of God so that we are ready to deal with that. And okay, so what do we have to protect? And that's right, Matt. Satan is ridiculously good at it. So yeah, I'm not trying to downplay Satan's power. I'm trying to get you to see that yes, he only has one power, but he's really cunning and extremely good with it. Just like anybody who only has one option, they become very, very efficient at it. And the devil is very efficient at lying. It's amazing how efficient he can be. And yeah, Tim, the devil made me do it as a myth. A myth propagated by Looney Tunes, so I can understand your mistake. But yeah, the idea the devil doesn't make us do anything. He talks us into it, which honestly is worse. Because you know where the blame lands on that one. So, all right, good. So let's see about putting on this armor. Here's one we want to keep in mind, and this we're going to come back to on Sunday, and the number of hate mail I got this week. For we're not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, against evil spirits in the heavenly places. Again, one of the clear lies that Satan tells all of us, including this guy right here, is the fact that the enemy that you face is another person made out of this stuff. Right? This is not the problem. Okay? Other people who are covered with this stuff are not the problem. The problem that we're fighting against is spiritual warfare. Satan is trying to make it about somebody else that you could crush if you wanted to, but that's another one of those lies. It's an enticing lie, but friends, if you're going to lash out against somebody, don't do it, because they're not the problem. Even if they're being a jerk or being stupid or being contrary or being whatever it is that's driving you nuts, they're not the problem. The problem is a spiritual problem. And if you want to combat spiritual problems, you have to do spiritual solutions. That's why we don't encourage punching. Man, I wished I lived in Batman's world, right? What's Batman got to do? Find the right guy to punch in the face and it fixes everything. I'd love to live in that world. Unfortunately, we don't. And that's not how it works. Yes, for those of you who have read the Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis, I subjected Matt to that, and he read it. And Screw Tape and Wormwood, you'll know who those characters are if you've read the Screw Tape Letters. That is exactly what that book is about. Is about the games that Satan can play to try to get somebody thrown off. So, all right, cool. I have 2 computer screens here and no clock. So I got to keep looking at my watch here. All right. So let's see here. Therefore, put on every piece of the armor so you'll be able to resist the enemy in the time of evil. Then after the battle, you'll be standing firm. What's the battle? The battle's here. It's about holding on to the truth and not embracing lies. Lies are very enticing. They sure look good. But they're like, grabbing at mirages, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so the first part of the armor of God we put on, according to verse 14 here, is we stand our ground. Okay, don't give an inch. Because we have nothing to run from. Lies may sound terrifying, they may sound enticing, they may sound effective, but they're not. It's just noise. And we don't want to be falling for that stuff. And so we stand our ground because we're not going to give, we're not going to attack. Okay, so stand your ground. And the first part of the armor we need to put on is the belt of truth. Now think about what a belt does to an outfit, okay? And ladies, sorry, I'm not talking fashion. I'm talking function here. What does a belt do? In a very, very practical sense, the belt holds up your pants. I mean, and if you're going to store your weapons, that's what you hook them to. I mean, right now I got a microphone hooked to one side and I got my phone hooked to the other, and I got all this stuff hooked to my belt so I don't lose any of it. The belt is everything in my outfit that I have on right now is tied together by the belt. The belt, it's holding my shorts up. Not only that, it's carrying my microphone, carrying the phone, all these different things. And because of that, I can have confidence. I'm not going to walk out there and have something horrendously, catastrophically embarrassing happen, because I can trust it. Truth is exactly the same. If you're going to live in truth, if you're going to be honest and do these things, truth gives you the exact same assurance. And hold on here, my phone's blowing up. Who all y'all's texting me? Oops, hold on here. All right. Truth is exactly the same. Truth is what protects us from embarrassment, and prevents the wardrobe malfunction. That's right. Batman does have a belt, big yellow one with all kind of cool stuff in it, and that's what you need to. That's why we have the truth. The truth is it secures us. Okay. The next thing we have then is the body armor of God's righteousness. What does body armor do? Body armor is what protects some of our most vulnerable parts, our internal organs, our abdominal region, some other unmentionable places. When you wear body armor, you do that to protect stuff that can't protect themselves. You don't wear body armor on your hands. You don't wear body armor on your face. You wear body armor on the parts that you're trying to protect. Again, God's righteousness does exactly the same thing. When we're going to live in God's righteousness, we get protection, particularly from some of the Satan's lies. Because when he comes along and tells us, if we're in God's righteousness and practicing that righteousness, living that righteousness, if we're filled with that righteousness, we could say, I don't think so. I don't think that's how it works. And that's a very important distinction to make. And that's why God's righteousness protects our vulnerable places. It keeps us away from places we need not go. It leads us not into temptation, as the prayer says. That's what God's righteousness does. It keeps us away from that, and that's why Paul, here writing in Ephesians, tells us about God's righteousness doing just that and how important that is. All right. Next, we're going for shoes. Put on the peace that comes from the good news. Okay? All right, I'm going to try and experiment here on this frame. Hold on one second. Watch this. There, I full screened it. For shoes, put on the peace that comes from the good news so that you'll be fully prepared. Now think about what shoes do. Shoes are what provide for us the opportunity to go places and do things and enjoy ourselves. And if we're going to live in God's peace, what's going on, and we're willing to put those on, and that will not limit us in where we want to go. So that's an important thing to be able to be a part of. Oh, you lost the audio. I'm back now. Sorry. I was trying to be slick and change the battery in the camera because I had 2 minutes left. So, all right. I had some very insightful things to say, though, while that was going on. Think about what shoes do. Yes, I'm back. Sorry, everybody. I was trying to be slick and change the battery because the battery was about to die. I got 35 minutes on this battery. Apparently, we didn't hook either of them to the charger this week. So, the idea is shoes. What do shoes do? Shoes allow us to go. Shoes allow me to walk on gravel, walk on in uneven ground. They allow me to walk on hot surfaces. They allows me to go out and run and not have my feet all tore up. That's what shoes do. And I would contend that the good news does the same thing. To be undergirded, to be protected by the good news, allows us to be able to go places we normally wouldn't be able to go. I would not advise you to go someplace, and take a risk unless you're got the gospel as a part of what you're doing. Now, there may be some risks worth taking if you're living in God's good peace. If you've accepted Christ as your Savior, you know the gospel story, you got all that, then yeah, there may be some chances that you want to take. However, you won't feel peace though without it, and that's why that's how I kind of pull shoes and peace together. If you have peace in your heart, you're going to be able to go places and have opportunities that are not going to be afforded to you if you're just kind of, steamrolling through life or whatever it is you're trying to do. And so keep that in mind. That's why the good news is so important, because it opens up many, many opportunities to us, just like our shoes. Okay. I screwed up this slide. All right, where am I at here? Bell of the truth. Good news. All right, verse 16. All right, right here. Right here is where I'm at. So this is where I'm reading. 16, in addition to all of these, hold up the shield of faith to stop the fiery arrows of the devil. All right, faith is our defensive weapon. Now, again, think about what faith gives you. If I have faith in my friends, if I have faith in my family, if I have faith in my job, if I have faith in my church, if I have faith in my Lord, and somebody comes along and says, this person that you have all this faith in is actually a serial killer, I'm probably not going to believe that, okay? Mainly because I'm still alive and I know them. But the idea is if somebody comes along and tells you something, but your faith is already strong, you'll know. You'll trust them. You'll be like, nah, sorry. Think about how great of a defense that is against the devil. Because what's he going to tell you? Lies. But if he comes along and says, God don't care about you, and how could somebody dying on the cross save people from their sin, and why would God want you to go and do this thing that he's asking you to do? That doesn't make any sense. And you'll go, I got a lot of faith in God. I think I'm just going to go ahead and shrug this off and go ahead and do what the good Lord has asked me to do, or not do what the good Lord told me not to do. And that's what the shield of faith can do. When those flaming darts, flaming arrows are coming at you, what do you block them with? Faith. I mean, it's a pretty simple analogy there. And that's why that faith then protects us. It's our weapon of protection. Not weapon, it's our defense. That's the word I'm looking for. It's the way we defend ourselves against Satan's lies is by having faith, and how important that is. Okay, let me go on to the next slide here. Hopefully I got this one right. Oh, there's the shield of faith. All right, 17. This is the last one. Put on salvation as your helmet. All right, all you are pretty bright. I know y'all know where you put a helmet. Put a helmet where? Right on the old noggin. Salvation protects your brain. How does that work? Anybody here, jump in the chats and tell me if you're willing to confess to this, that you might be an overthinker. Anybody here in the chat tonight of however many of you who are here? Anybody here an overthinker? Let me have a look here. How many people we got in the chat? I got 20. Still got 23 of you here tonight. Suze is guilty. Anybody else want to cop to being a little bit of a overthinker? All right, Mike and Tina are putting out for that one. All right, anybody else? Anybody else here might be a little guilty of doing some overthinking? Val McAllister, Amy Hoghead. Tim is his greatest weakness. Sherry's thinking about it. Crystal has been guilty of that. Okay. All right. Thoughts roll all over my head. Matt Clements. Marge is certainly in there. Teresa Bitter says yes. Okay, so a lot of you have been there. Now, think about what salvation can protect you from. If you are assured of your own salvation, and Marcia is too. All right, so we got a lot of confession is good for the souls, my friends. If we put on salvation on our head, that protects us from overthinking, because we take God at his word. God says he is the one who has saved us. He has taken care of these things, and we put on the helmet of salvation. Therefore, we don't have to overthink this anymore. We don't have to go and make being a Jesus follower any more complicated than what it already is, and that's great. Salvation can protect us from that, because once we go ahead and entrust our souls and our spirits and our lives to God, there's no more overthinking it. Now, I know that doesn't automatically protect any of us, as we have just witnessed in my little experiment here. that is something that we still do, but if we allow the fact that God has taken care of the step of salvation for us, then we don't need to overthink that anymore. Do we need to, process what it means and think about it critically? Of course, but we don't need to question it by overthinking it. And Bob, did you throw your wife under the bus, Pam? Candy Dickey says, I rarely overthink anything. Okay. All right, so yeah, all right, so some of you struggle with that a little more than others, but that's where we are. So, okay, so the helmet of salvation is we entrust it to God, and that protects us from overthinking. And then finally, the last thing is the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. Notice everything we've talked about, body armor and shoes and helmets and shield. Only one offensive weapon, only one attack item here. And that's the sword. And I want you to notice what it is. It's God's word. If we're going to go forward into this world where our enemy's going to do nothing but lie, we have to have a response. If we're going to get lied to, you have to have a response. What's our response? Our response is the Word of God. I don't only mean the Bible, but of course I include that. But I mean inspired talk, inspired speech by the Holy Spirit. Sometimes when we've all witnessed somebody, speaking very wisely, giving us wise advice, we say that person is Spirit-filled. We've certainly witnessed that. So if we're going to go along and respond to Satan's lies, we got to have some kind of truth to give them, and there is assurance in that, and that's a wonderful thing. So that's where the sword of the Spirit comes in, and that it enables us to go, not necessarily go on the offensive, but when the attack comes to us, we're able to respond, not just block it, but attack it. And point out the lies for what they are, and point out the inconsistencies for what they are, and point out the distraction and everything else, so that we can say, Satan, it's time to back up, because I'm not falling for this. And not only can I say it, I can enforce it because I have God's word, and that's what gives us the assurance to be aggressive. Teresa says our relationship with Jesus assures us of what we hope for. Gotcha. Yes, that's an assurance we don't get from any place else, and that's why it protects our head. So, all right, very cool. All right, we have come to the end of this portion of the show tonight. Anybody got anything else they want to share about the armor of God? Armor of God. Again, most of you had already heard of it, but enjoy that discussion, because I'm having no luck at all. This battery now has 8 minutes left in it. Jeez. I may have to go silent here for another second here. All right. Okay. Hey, Jan, we're glad to have you. We're glad to have you anytime you can get here. So... All right, guys, since clearly the plug-in was not getting the job done, I'm switching over to the other charger here real quick. All right, I got the other battery on the charger because now I'm down to 6 minutes already. So I'm going to have to go silent here for just a second. All right. All right, good. Well, I got one last thing I'd like to cover with you for our last, what we got here, 10 minutes. And again, I'm going to have to go silent here for just a second. I entitled this segment "Selfish Politics," and because I've got what do I have? I got a couple of news stories here, I guess I'm going to say. I want to talk about a couple of actors, actually. And from a couple of movies that I've seen, and many of you have probably seen. And they're actors who have gone on to be very critical of their experience of being on the set. And the reason I chose these two particular actors who have gone back to comment, I don't know what word is the right word to use. The reason I'm talking about these two is because, first of all, they're movies I've seen very much from franchises that I love very much, but I'm going to make it clear as I go along here. All right, here, let's switch over here. All right, the first one I'm going to talk about is John Boyega. Now, any of you who know who John Boyega is, he is the guy who played Finn from the new Star Wars trilogy. He was the converted stormtrooper who went from one side to the other. And, a bunch of comments just popped up here. Yeah, Candy, you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Amy. Missed the first part, Teresa. Very good. Well, thanks for making it here. You can go back. The stream should come up on YouTube shortly after we're done. Marsha Bowman tells me to put on my armor of God and say, "Get behind me, Satan," which is exactly where Satan belongs. Hard to lie to you from behind. Crystal says, always good to hear the truth of God. Appreciate that you believe you're finding that here, and I'm glad you are finding it here. And Jan says the same thing, Sherry, and I think that's something we all need to say a little more often. All right, cool. All right, so this is the where am I at here? This is the news story. This is from Arts and Entertainment. It's about the rise of Skywalker. And it was the three new movies that came out. And here's what happened. John Boyega has said that non-white characters, again, I don't care why they're getting pushed aside. It's the fact that they're coming out to talk about these franchises. Pushed aside by Disney in the latest Star Wars film. The Londoner, that's where Boyega's from, played Finn in the latest trilogy, which concluded last year. Now, I don't know how many of you are Star Wars fans. I've been a Star Wars fan since about 10 minutes before I was born, and have always been a great Star Wars fan. And, all right, I got a question now. Got to put it to you all, and I'm going to go silent here for just a second. Jump in the comments. Tell me, are you a Star Wars fan? Somebody jump in and tell me. Got any Star Wars fans here tonight? Any more Star Wars fans in the house? Valerie McAllister has never watched Star Wars? Just the first one. I'm assuming you mean the original trilogy, which I would certainly agree. Chewbacca for most of my childhood, yes. Yes, I was Luke Skywalker, but yes. No, okay. Well, whether you are or not, that's okay. I think you're going to get my point, though. Okay. So he played Finn in the latest trilogy, which concluded last year. But he said the filmmakers didn't know what to do with he and other diverse characters in The Rise of Skywalker. What do I say to Disney? What I would say to Disney is do not bring out a black character, market them as much more important to the franchise, and then have them pushed to the side, he told GQ. It's not good, I'll say it straight up. Boyega, who was in Star Wars episodes 7, 8, and 9, played a runaway stormtrooper at Rey's side as a member of the Resistance. He acknowledged an actor is not necessarily going to like everything in a film. He said Star Wars was an amazing opportunity and a stepping stone. But he vented his displeasure about the storylines in The Rise of Skywalker, which many people have. The Rise of Skywalker, I would say, was the worst Star Wars movie, but I can't say that because The Last Jedi exists, which was clearly the worst Star Wars movie ever. And I really did not care for that movie much. But The Rise of Skywalker would have been the worst had The Last Jedi not existed. So a lot of people have vented their displeasure at the storylines in The Rise of Skywalker. You guys knew what to do with Daisy Ridley, who played Rey. You knew what to do with Adam Driver, who was Kylo Ren. And you knew what to do with these other people, he told the magazine. Ridley's character, Rey, and I would disagree with that. I don't think they knew what to do with them, because that's why any of you who've seen the movies or are going to see the movies, I don't know that they knew what to do with those characters, because how Rey's story arc ended up and how Kylo Ren's story arc ended up, I never got the feeling that they actually did that on purpose. I felt like it was thrown together because they were trying to fix The Last Jedi. Ridley's character Rey and Driver as Kylo Ren were at the heart of the plot about the fate of the Jedi and Skywalker dynasty. But the filmmakers didn't know what to do with Finn or Kelly Marie Tran's character Rose. I think that's absolutely true. Boyega said he also suggested that Naomi Ackie, the black British actor who played Jana, and the Guatemalan boy Isaac Oscar who played Poe. Isaac Oscar was awesome in the movie, criminally underused. So I definitely agree with that. We're similarly marginalized. What do you want me to say? Boyega continued. What they want you to say is, I enjoyed being part of it. It was a great experience. Nah. I'll take that deal when it is a great experience. They gave all the nuance to Adam Driver, all the nuance to Daisy Ridley. I don't necessarily agree with that. Let's be honest. Daisy knows this. Adam knows. Everybody knows this. I'm not exposing anything. He also spoke about their hairstyle, and he goes on from there. Okay, here's my point behind sharing this article with you, and this is what I want to call selfish politics. Why would anybody want to hire this guy again? Look, it's a free country. He can say whatever he wants. But if I'm getting ready to make a big budget Star Wars level movie, am I going to be thinking about John Boyega? Probably not, if he's going to come back and trash something that I have that much invested in. Look, there are problems in the new Star Wars franchise. I cannot agree with that more. But to have one of the actors come out and do this, I think he's hurting himself. And I think a lot of these young actors, and I'm not just talking about that because of his race. I mean, a lot of these young actors, you know, they're in their 20s and they're working with gazillions of dollars to make these movies and all that goes into that. For them to turn around then and trash the experience because they're unhappy with how it went. Look, I get it. Not being happy. There was a lot of fans who weren't happy. But at the end of the day, to come back and turn on them and do this, I don't know that we're going to see John Boyega in another movie, because what franchise would want to put him in there if he's going to come out and do this if he's unhappy? I want to give you another example of another young actor doing the same thing. This time I want to talk about Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher was in the Justice League. He played the character Cyborg. Cyborg was, he's a newer character, and he's a newer character as far as like Superman and Batman have been around for, umpteen years. Wonder Woman's been around, Aquaman. He may be a little more recent than the rest of them. The Flash has been around for quite a while. And I think that the problem is that they have, they were well established. Cyborg's relatively recent. I remember when Cyborg came around. He was a part of the Teen Titans, back in the 90s, I believe. And they wanted to bring him into the Justice League, which I thought was a fantastic idea. He's a great character, and honestly, it was needed in bringing that out, okay? Now, if you know anything about the Justice League movie, it's 3 years old now, and it was a major, major flop. There were some horrible problems with it. I loved Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he was fantastic. But the script itself was just in trouble. It hurts my heart to say that, but it really was. And they're getting ready to come out with a new cut of it pretty soon, so they're trying to get some positive press, and then they have one of their major actors come out and do this. Now, one of the things that happened is, hang on here. Hang on, I lost my mouse. Oh, here it is. Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder was the original. He's the one that directed Batman versus Superman. Batman versus Superman was a very flawed story that had some individual scenes that were out of this world. Any of you who've seen it know that when Batman goes into the warehouse to save Martha Kent, man, I could watch that scene on a loop for like 26 hours straight. That was just fantastic. When he went in there and beat up all those guys, man, that was awesome. But the movie itself was okay, but that scene was fantastic. But in the midst of that, they needed Ray Fisher to be able to play Cyborg, okay? Now, in the midst of this, Zack Snyder's daughter died, and that's the director. He had to step away, and they brought in Joss Whedon. Now, Joss Whedon was the guy who made the original Avengers, so he was kind of a big name at that time. Now, he's since kind of fallen to the wayside, but he was a big, important guy. Ran kind of a different movie, so that's why if you're watching Justice League, you're having a hard time figuring out what's going on because it can't figure out what it is. Where Zack Snyder wanted to make this dark and gritty superhero movie, Joss Whedon wanted to make a yucca movie. Again, that worked great for the Avengers. It would have worked great for the Justice League if the whole movie had been that way. But unfortunately, it was only the parts that it was kind of half and half. And the movie came across as almost kind of schizophrenic in that way, and that it couldn't decide what it wanted to do. So So what we have here is we have Ray Fisher, who was, like I said, he's the guy who played Cyborg. And let me zoom this in here a little bit. Ray Fisher sharing his experience in working on the Justice League film. On Wednesday morning, the actor took to Twitter. Okay, right there. If you ever take to Twitter to do something, you're probably doing it wrong. I'm just going to say it straight out. Stay off of Twitter. It is absolute garbage heap, even by social media standards, which I think all social media is evil. But Twitter is the antichrist of awfulness, so don't go there. The actor took to Twitter where he spoke out against director Joss Whedon for his alleged behavior on the set of the 2017 movie. Is there a date on this article? I don't see a date. This has been within the last, there it is, July 1st. So July 1st, 2020. He came out, so it was around end of June, early July, when he came out and do that and had this comment. And I'm sorry for that stupid ad that's on there. So a movie that was released 3 years ago, which means it was filmed probably 4 years ago. He just now took to Twitter when they're just trying to get this reboot of the franchise. You got one of your actors coming out to trash what's going on. He says Joss Whedon's on-set treatment of the cast and crew of Justice League was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable, he alleged on Twitter. It was enabled in many ways by Jeff Johns and John Berg. Those are kind of the bigwigs at Warner Brothers where this was put together. Ray continued, accountability is more important than entertainment. In movie making, I'm not sure I agree with that. Yes, there has to be accountability, but at the end of the day, the movie has to be entertaining. So he goes on. I'm not gonna read all this, but here's his if you want to look at it. He really just ripped them apart in what they wanted. I feel bad for Warner Brothers because they're trying to get this new franchise underway, and now they got one of their actors is clearly unhappy, and publicly because social media makes everything super public to everyone, and I really feel bad for them because there have been directors doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And he doesn't go into specifics. I don't know exactly what Joss Whedon was doing, but he displeased Ray Fisher, which I'm very sorry about. Again, why would you ever hire Ray Fisher again? Why would you ever put him in your movie? If you know that if you do something that he's not going to like or be unhappy with, he's going to go out there and trash you. And I don't understand why he thinks that's going to lead, what changes he thinks is going to get made through this. I can't imagine to be much of anything. I mean, the studio execs, if they ever hire Joss Whedon again, which is highly unlikely, they're going to tell him whatever stupid stuff you were doing has got to stop. But outside of that, I don't know what he expects to happen. However, if I'm one of these studio executives and I'm sitting there and we got this script and it's really great and it's going to be a great movie, would I want Ray Fisher to be a part of that? I don't know. Because if I think that he may, circumvent the process and go straight to social media to trash me or trash whatever, trash the system, trash the movie, trash the experience, whatever, to the fans and give everybody a sour taste, I don't know. So that's what I want. I guess that's my warning for y'all tonight is, for goodness sake, be careful what you put on social media. Please. Be careful about venting on social media. I would go so far as to say never do that because that garbage goes out there and it's out there for literally ever. And, I'm going to be honest with you. We've hired one person since I started working here, and I hired a number of people when I worked at Forest Park for different positions, and I cyber stalked every one of them before we hired them. I found their social media stuff. I found people who were friends with them, and I checked them out. And look, if I'd have went on there and saw a bunch of garbage and a bunch of them trashing the place where they worked, we probably wouldn't have hired them. And so I'm just telling you, yeah, you could be unhappy. Yeah, you can go talk to somebody about it. Don't put it on social media because people are looking there. And you're going to find some stuff on there that might be detrimental to your career. So that's something you're definitely going to want to be thinking about. And it's something that I think that this current generation, they think the whole world is entitled to their opinion. And hold on here. What have I done? And I'm not so sure the whole world is going to agree with them.